Thank you for joining Let's Meet Where We Eat, conversations with innovation and entrepreneurship leaders who specialize in food and nutrition. Our series is presented by Nourish Cafe and the Food and Nutrition Innovation Institute at the Tufts Friedman School for Nutrition Science and Policy. Enjoy. Hi, so welcome everyone to another edition of Nourish Cafe, our student meetup at the Friedman School of Nutrition at Tufts. We're so excited today to have with us Jimena Florez. She is an entrepreneur and founder of Chaak Snacks. She's also one of the entrepreneur advisors on the Food Nutrition Innovation Institute. So Jimena, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Katie. I'm so excited to be here and really sharing about my journey and what I've been doing, these things I'm doing.
And while we are in cold New England winter right now, share with us where you are. I think it's warmer.
Yes, a little bit warmer. I'm in Miami. You can feel the sun behind. And how I was saying, I've been, because of the really air condition, I have to wear like I was in Boston in winter. But, you know, I get outside and see the sea and the warm. Don't get jealous about it, but it's a good place to be.
I'm jealous for sure. Yeah. So
you're welcome. You're welcome to come here and join me.
I love it. We could have our next student meeting in Miami with you. I'm happy with that.
That could be good. Actually, there could be like a retreat for all the people here in Miami to start thinking with a different environment, the sun. So probably we can think differently.
I love that. I love that. So tell everybody about Chaak Snacks, what it is, and tell us about the origin of this cool name of your company.
Yes. So, well, I'm Jimena Florez from Colombia, and I'm a social entrepreneur that really believes in the transformative power of food. And that's why Chaak exists. And what is Chaak? Chaak is a company that we try to relieve the anxiety that have families, parents, when they try to feed the children and try to feed them right. So what we do is create nutrition products, like really nutrition dense products, where we can relieve that and showing them that less is more when they choose it right. And we believe that food can be made in a very smart way. So what we do is like really re-engineer food, create these outstanding cake products when we can actually deliver key nutrients. So that's what we do in Chaak, and we exist to transform, to give relief to parents, to give a new source of food for them to know that they are feeding their kids for their mental and physical development. And Chaak.
I mean, as a parent, that certainly resonates, because it's really hard to put food into your kids that they'll eat, that you feel good about, and you're constantly trying to find different products that meet those needs.
Yes, and at the end of the day, what happens is like parents want to make their kids feel full and feel great. And usually they don't know what sources of food are the best, and so they ended up to relieve that stress, because that creates anxiety, that uncertainty, and to relieve that, they start giving not the right food to kids, and there will be a cycle of unhealthy habits.
Yeah,
and that's what we want to break.
So how did you arrive at wanting to do, what was the moment in your entrepreneur journey where you realized that Chaak Snacks was what you wanted to pursue?
So it was when I was working. One of the things I'm still doing is like a very activist in all the social improvement of standard of living for farmers and people living in really low conditions of living, to say like that. And when I was working in Colombia, I was noticing a pattern that many children were having a problem of blindness. They were blind. And so I was noticing I didn't have that much knowledge and background in nutrition. And my background is more in economics and finance, and that's my background. So I was like seeing that pattern and being more concerned what is happening here. It's not just that they lack of resources, they lack of health, but there is creating a pattern of healthy issues for children. They cannot see. It's an ability to see. They are blind. So I started researching more, and I ended up knowing that the cause of that was lack of nutrition. So children were becoming blind, and it was a normal situation, not just in Colombia. When you see in Latin America, Africa, or places where there is really tough nutrition scarcity or food security, then those problems happen. And for me, that was a changing moment. I started thinking we need to do something for them in a way children can access and can eat, because the challenge of what they eat, how they eat, do they have the resources? So I was working at that time with farmers, cacao farmers in Colombia, and I was really understanding what a cacao or cocoa can, what is the real value, and what are those superfoods or key nutrients that if I mix them, re-engineer, can deliver as much as I can. And
so Jimena, just 1 second. So I'm picturing this. Here's you coming from a financial background. You are in your home country of Colombia. You're working with farmers, trying to understand what they're growing. You're trying to solve a community malnutrition issue, and you don't have formal training in nutrition. So you're self-teaching this. I mean, you're in the, did you have to put a team around you to figure this out? Like, how did you keep putting one foot in front of the other to do this? This is a big challenge.
Yeah, and I think that's the spirit of entrepreneur that I always say. When we are passionate to solve a problem, entrepreneurs were problem solvers. That's part of our nature. So, and as you said, I was researching, and I was researching in the good places, universities, academia, where the experts really get key information. And then I started going in Colombia to nutritionist events, like where I can find the experts, where I can find someone who can give me more information and how I can do things, taking into account my background. And I got into a really good place in those symposiums when one of the top nutritionists in Colombia, in a coffee break, they were over there. I was really behind the audience. I was just seeing, I need to talk to this girl. This person is an expert, and she can give me answers. So in the coffee break, I just run into her and say, listen, I'm noticing this in my work. What can we do? I have these ideas. I know about food. I know about communities. I know about, this is what I can bring, but I have no idea about nutrition. I have no idea how to make food. I don't even like to cook. So I am not the one who can mix it. How can I do it? So she was giving me, and she put me a team of nutritionists. Wow. Everything like for free. I didn't even, and at that moment it was, and actually there it was my model of working with experts. Like and this is so amazing about the nutrition and health field, because it's service. Yeah. They love to give, to put their knowledge and to serve. So I was having this amazing team of nutritionists, and in my own thinking how I can re-engineer, because of like my abilities were different. Like I was more in maths, more in this chemistry. So how I can put ingredients, I was researching what would be the best ingredients. This nutritionist was telling me, listen, this is the key ingredients that children should have for mental and physical development. And I was curious all the time, asking questions all the time. And so I kind of divide with that information what kind of nutrients are more important than others in the first 1,000 days of life. And because they were key for that problem that I was facing in my work in Colombia. And so on, I started getting more knowledge, and so on, I started getting more involved more with experts. And I developed my products in the kitchen, really literally, like mixing, the summing, like trying to understand the combinations to see if I can deliver nutrient-dense product without using flour, sugar, nothing. And using the key ingredients, the key nutrients, trying to see. And at the end of the day, I ended up, because of that, something happened, and business are magical when you put all your drive. And I started getting more in touch with the US experts. I started being more involved of how we can get support from experts here. in
So it
United
just
States,
kept
the
going
level
and
of
going.
innovation, yes, the
Yeah.
level of innovation, the level of resources for science is higher than in developing countries. So
Yeah.
one of the things is that I started facing gaps of resources there in terms of knowledge, in terms
Yep.
of people, in terms of my mind was expanding, and I feel I didn't have the resources, the human resources. Not saying that there's outstanding professionals there, but I wanted deeper knowledge, and I found it here. I found it here in United States, and I ended up arriving here because the Department of Commerce, the U.S. Department of Commerce.
Mhm.
Well, it was a whole journey, but and I don't like. You want me to tell the story, because
Well,
I
I
can
mean,
probably expand.
I think what's interesting is, so from the time you started to work with these farmers to the time you launched your product, because obviously there's a lot of steps here.
Yeah.
What was that length of time?
So it was around when I decided to start making it. It was around 2 years.
Okay. All right.
2 years
And
frame.
so what were you doing in your career at the time when you started to work with these farmers and you found yourself, like, what was your day job that suddenly you found yourself in this environment? What were you doing as your career at
Yeah.
the time?
So I actually decided to be in that environment. And how I was involved, I was graduating from a school in Australia. I was doing, I finished their economics and environmental economics. And then I exposed myself when I go back to Colombia. When I went back to Colombia, I said, I want to really work with farmers. I was doing everything, studying environmental and social impact from economic projects. So I thought my country has a
Gotcha.
huge potential. So that's why I decided to start being in the agricultural field,
Right.
because I for me was there's a huge opportunity that Colombia's country has. We produce just 4% of our, oh, we use just 4% of our growing food capacity, just to give an example. However, Colombia have a lot of complexity, but that is what I was doing. I went back from Australia to Colombia to start getting in touch with organizations, agriculture organizations, getting to know, because I again, it was like I didn't know about it. I was just a
Right.
student with
Yeah.
a sense of passion and drive to create a change in a field.
Yeah.
And then I exposed myself to this environment,
I
and
love it.
that's why then I ended up with farmers in the whole process.
I love it. So we have a lot of students who study, obviously, not only nutrition, but also agriculture. And, what are some of the things that you think our students should be thinking about as they're looking at this world of nutrition and food supply chain and health and agriculture? What are some of the things that, if you could, from career advice, what should our students be thinking about as they examine their next path?
I think agriculture is a power for development, for growth. And if we use it not just to nourish, because probably this is the first approach, how to create a food system that can nourish people and can create a health and sustainability. But when we see agriculture as a really source of economic development, I can name a lot of issues in Latin America, or even here, the food deserts here in United States, where agriculture can really use that power to create employments, to create in communities a source of knowledge, a source of education, a source of health. So all the sustainability and development can be done through agriculture, through the agricultural field. So
Yeah.
I encourage students not just to see the agriculture because as the way to nourish or to grow food, but as the way to create transformative communities, and
Yeah.
transformative communities that can create as well wealth, that can create health and education. That's what I encourage.
So what if you learned about the farmer as a critical part of this? I mean, we think about food systems, we're talking about kids, we're talking about products on the shelf. What is the relationship and the educational curve you had with farmers who may not have been thinking about this, and how critical are they to evolve this thinking? How do we bring them, make sure they're in the community?
It's so important because it's where food actually is growing. And usually farmers, in my own experience, they lack of a lot of resources, knowledge. So first of all, they probably don't know how to implement or grow food in the most sustainable way, in the best way, and how they can access to as improve their land. And so they are critical in this inclusion. But when we see about what is the work with farmers use their land is the only resource to survive. So, and what happens with farmers, and that's why there is a problem in food safety, because most of the 60% of the food they grow, they cannot sell it for many reasons. Quality is one of the reasons. So they don't know if it's quality, how we can actually put technology, resources, technical assistance, knowledge for them to grow it in the right way. So the way actually they can kind of deliver almost 100% of their crops and be sold. So this is one of the problems that they save. Quality. Second, logistics. If they have to deliver a product that they don't have the conditions to deliver into the chain, the product that are perishable, because they're farmers, is going to be waste. So all those these problems they are critical, and they need a lot of support. They need resources, and they are farmers that they don't have a lot of money, they don't have resources, so they cannot really access to credit, access to technology. They don't even know that probably there are many ways to improve their efficiency of their land by introducing new methods and in a cost-efficient way, but also environmentally friendly. So I guess, and something that could be done by the students is deliver that knowledge to them, is deliver that support, because for them, land is their wealth, is the only source they have.
It's such an important focus. You know, we've got some students joining us today who are focused on female farmers. And what has been your, you know, women tend to be in charge of feeding the kids, feeding the family. What was your experience in this farming community with the women as well?
Yeah, so for me, the key, if I could put all the women into the crops, into the food chain, into the whole system, I would have done it, because it's so critical for women, just by the nature, by the human nature of being a woman, we care about nourish, we care about deliver more than a product, we care about families, we care about, and I'm not saying that men, they don't, it's just the nature, it's just the nature. They can use different resources. There are many studies that show actually that when women are involved in farming, when they are involved in managing the money, the resources in the family actually start getting progress, because they know how to probably deliver those resources in a different way. Not saying that is good or bad, but it's a woman who has the ability as well to give to the kids, to give to the husband, and especially if we go to communities when there is a sense that the woman does that and bring that love and bring that food for their peoples and become leaders in their community, because then the concept would change a little bit more. It's like how we can make food for others. And it's a sense, and I'm not saying again that a man can do it, but a man with a very female energy could probably think it that way. That's why we need both. We need someone who cares about the community, and they'll probably another structure together who goes there, take the action to deliver the whole product to the others. So that's why it's a complement.
A compliment. Absolutely. I love that. It's a great way of looking at it. So as we close, what's next for Chaak Snacks? Like, what's exciting on the horizon?
So excited.
You've started a revolution here. So tell us about the exciting news of where you're headed.
There are many exciting things. So in this moment, we are reshaping everything. We developed already a whole line of new products. We are waiting for the launch, so building all the packaging and everything. And we are working, which is very exciting because now we are more certain to deliver more value, to say like that. So we are doing that. And creating programs, still really great programs to see how we can diminish food deserts in this case, South New Jersey, but we're trying to see what could be a practical model that we can actually keep working on that. So that's so exciting. And of course, you will be the first to know when we launch it again.
That's so fantastic. I love following what you're doing. I just think it's so wonderful. I hope if you're able to join us in person for some of our spring meetings, I know our students would love to meet you. Jimena Florez, it's always a joy to see you. You have so much energy. You just inspire me to go on out and like tilt at windmills and change the world as well. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Nourish Cafe. Please stick around for questions and answers with the students. And for everybody joining us, thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie.